Hey you, do you want to be a wizard? Not that kind of wizard. This kind.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get with the program.
With dozens of roguelites coming out every day, you have tons of great games competing for your attention. From Balatro to Hades 2, you don't have the time to play them all. You have to be selective. So is Vellum worth your time? Let's find out together. This video will be an overview of story, gameplay, progression, cosmetics, and community. This won't be a comprehensive overview of mechanics, just an overview to see whether or not it's worth playing for you. With that out of the way, let's get on to the video. You are a wizard.
I'm a what?
Not that kind of wizard. Let's start over. You're a scribe of the infinite library. You're tasked with pushing back the Torn. What are the Torn? The Torn are the various enemies and bosses found within the game, many of which elicit a rather calm response. We're tasked by a guy named Prism, who only responds to us through texts and love bombs us, then leaves us on red when he gets a little bit too close. But there's more to Prism than meets the eye. After meeting Prism, we get launched into the edgiest group chat ever. There we meet Verse, Myriad, and Horizon, fellow scribes of the Infinite Library. Or they were. Until Prism love bombed them and left them on red forever. Now, I won't go any further to avoid spoilers, but the whole story is explained through the pages you find in the areas and different content. They're pretty short but interestingly written, and we gain a lot of story with each update. While it doesn't have any cinematics or otherwise, it's pretty well written and compelling, inviting you to learn more without taking up too much of the central gameplay. Overall, I'd rate it a 7 out of 10. With that, we move on to the gameplay. How exactly do we interact with the game? Let's start with the concept of mana. Some spells cost mana. Some cost more than others. You generate this mana by using a generator spell. The spell does a little bit of damage and gives you a bit of mana while costing nothing. Next, you get a spender, which spends the mana. These are usually a little bit more powerful and do a bit more damage, but they have the downside of costing mana. Finally, we have your movement spell. This helps you reposition out of, or into, danger. There are currently 25 spells in games, with 9 spenders and generators for you to combo. These spells are further modified by your signature ink. Each ink has a different effect, some including critically hitting enemies for their entire health pool, summoning a green little guy who will be your best friend, or tanking an infinite amount of damage. Cause why not? Each ink has a unique identity that's fun to work out strong and interesting combos for. But now that we know how to hit things, what can we do with that? This brings us into the next aspect of gameplay, tomes. Most of the game is played in these levels called tomes. Noticing the book theme yet? There are 16 different tomes in the game, each with different mechanics, powers, enemies, and bosses. Each tome is structured into 6 chapters and 3 vignettes, with the final chapter of each tome always being a boss. When you start off the tome, you get something called a Page of Power. These pages of power modify your spells and abilities, increasing your damage and giving them unique effects. Some of these include summoning dot pools as big as a mid-sized lake, turning your turret into a grenade that can blow up for 1,000,000 damage, or basically becoming immortal. Many of them combo together well to create some insane gameplay scenarios. Now, beyond just getting them at the beginning of the levels, you also get them from the areas called vignettes in tomes. You can find extra pages, secrets, and story bits in these levels. There's lots to explore and just some very pretty scenery to look at. Once you're done exploring your vignette, you'll see a screen pop up at the font. This is where you select your font powers. Some of these include increasing your stats, giving the font itself new abilities, or giving you the ability to feed the best, cutest dogs ever. And yes, you can pet them. The font powers are what modifies the mechanics that largely distinguish the levels between each other. But what about the enemies? Just as you get pages of power, the Torn also change and grow with each chapter, getting their own pages, increasing them in damage, speed, and ferocity. With pages designed to ruin your day and generally rustle your jimmies, the Torn present a pretty pressing threat for you to deal with. Now, the enemies break down into 3 categories: Splice, Tangent, and Raving. Splices are melee-focused brawlers. Their goal is to hit close and hit hard. Tangents are your ranged mobs. They deal tons of damage while keeping their distance, while having the least annoying bosses in game. And finally, the Ravings are debuff-focused enemies, giving effects like increasing the damage you take, summoning damage over time puddles, and just being a general nuisance. Now, all enemies have their strengths and particular pain points, some more than others, and if you find yourself confused by any of them, you can explore what all of them do in the Codex. The Codex keeps track of every page, font power, and enemy you fight, and in my opinion, it's something of a completionist's dream. But what happens if you get to the end of a level and want to keep going? Well, you can do that with the appendix system. After mending the tome, if you really enjoyed your build and want to push it to its fullest, you can keep going in 3 chapter segments, fighting a boss at the end of each. You can keep going pretty much indefinitely, so long as you can live the fight, at least. Overall, the core gameplay loop is fun and engaging. There's plenty of content here to explore hundreds of hours worth. The vignettes alone have given me dozens of hours of exploring, theorizing with others in the Discord. Overall, it's been a blast to play. 9 out of 10. But what if you wanted to take it further? Once you finish up your tome, you'll see some chests on the ground. These give you things called quill marks and gildings. Quill marks are your primary progression currency, allowing you to unlock new abilities, increase your scribe level at the scriptorium, and gildings are for unlocking things around the library and cosmetics. If you find the content easy and you want some harder tomes, you can use bindings. These modify the abilities of the tome before you even start and can add in different mechanics and different enemies. Higher binding equals more rewards. Now the maximum binding level for rewards is 20, but you can add as many as you'd like. You can take it all the way up to 159 if you're into some crushing difficulty. Now let's go over your scriptorium. This manages your scribe level, which gives you access to stat increases and modifiers, and also manages your inscriptions. Inscriptions are a skill tree you get. You get a generic tree that applies to all inks and one that applies to specific inks. While they're not the most impactful and in-depth, they're pretty fun to explore and mess around with. Your scribe level maxes out at 30 and gives you an option of ascending to reset. While ascending doesn't give you anything other than cosmetics, it does give you infinite bragging rights if you make it to 15 naturally. And the drip is pretty immaculate, I gotta say. But what if you wanted a bit more of a challenge? You remember that group chat we talked about earlier? Well, they decided to go start their own union, this time for the Torn. Each of them ascended into a domain of the Torn, becoming a Torn Lord, one for each type. Now they're trying to break into the library and tear it down, and it's your job to stop them. This time, we're going to pull up on their house. Raids are content that allow you to go into a boss rush. There are 4 bosses each raid, with them being the same each time, and with each raid being harder than the last. These bosses hit harder and have more complex mechanics than tomes. With less pages and harder enemies, these are the endgame content of Vellum. They have 2 difficulties, normal and hard. Hard raids deal extra damage and have some extra mechanics, and at the end of these encounters they have special scenes that progress the story further. And in multiplayer, the mechanics scale, leading to some pretty crazy interactions. Overall, the progression of Vellum is a bit light, but what is there is solid. There's plenty of content to explore once you've reached the peak of your power, and the raids are a blast to play. I'd give progression an 8 out of 10, with room for improvement once there's more. But what about that drip, though?
Plug walk. I don't even understand how the fuck my plug talk. Pick him up in a space coupe. I don't let my plug walk. Skirt. Pull up in a space.
Is your main purpose in games getting dripped out, pimping your crib? Well, Vellum has that in spades. With hundreds of combinations of cosmetics, and plenty of ways to get a hold of them, such as your signature challenges, ascendancies, there should be something for just about everyone. Alongside your scribe cosmetics, you get a little space to decorate called a nook. There are tons of nook cosmetics snuck in different spots and content, so if you're a completionist, you'll have plenty to explore and engage with here. Overall, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. But what if you want to play with others? Vellum has official support for 4 players, and has a mod that allows you to uncap that to 250, allowing you to have just about as many people as you could want in your lobby. And beyond just the people you bring in, there's a thriving community on Discord and Steam for the game. There are plenty of people available to run tomes with you, test your mettle against raids, and even speak with the devs and give suggestions. And with that, there's tons of mods you can interact with in a budding modding community looking for more testers and support every single day. If you join the Discord, there are discussions, polls, events. If you're looking for community, Vellum has that and then some. Overall, if you're looking for a space to engage in and feel welcomed in, Vellum is up there with the best, 10 out of 10. The story is solid, the gameplay is excellent, and the progression is a bit light but still enjoyable. With plenty of cosmetics and community to boot, we came into this video asking the question, is Vellum worth your time? And my answer is a resounding yes. You can pick the game up on Steam for $20 if you're interested, and if you really end up liking it, join the Discord. We're always looking for more people for events and polls, and just to have an overall good time hanging out. So hop on over there. If you thought this video was an enjoyable watch, drop a like, and if you think somebody would really like this game and you want to show it to them, give it a share. And with that out of the way, thank you for watching.